A used Band-Aid wedged into the corner of a dresser drawer. Something maybe a whole lot worse than the condom left behind the bathroom door. And a gun, an actual gun sitting in a nightstand. Here's the part that should stop you cold. Every single one of these was found in an Airbnb property that had already been cleaned and marked guest ready. The cleaner had checked every box on her checklist. The turnover was done. And if one more set of eyes hadn't walked that home before check-in, the next person to find those things would have been the guest. So today we're talking about the gap between a home that is clean and a home that is truly guest ready, because that gap right there is where your 5-star reviews are won or lost. And if we haven't met yet, I'm Stacy St. John. I teach women how to build and scale short-term rental and co-hosting businesses that actually run like businesses, not like a second job that owns your nights and your weekends. I'm also the best-selling author of the Co-Host Code. I host the STR Sisterhood, and these days I manage a portfolio remotely with a full operations team behind me. Cleaners, laundry folks, guest communication, and yes, the quality control inspectors we are about to talk about. My entire philosophy comes down to 3 words: data over drama. We make decisions with numbers and systems, not panic and guesswork. So if that's the kind of host you want to become, the calm and in control one, do me a quick favor and hit subscribe, because I put out content like this every week to help you get there. All right, let's get into it. Now, the second most hosts hear those horror stories about the Band-Aid, the condom, and the handgun, their instinct is, oh, got it. I'll start double checking every single turnover myself. And I completely understand the impulse, but I'm going to lovingly tell you that your instinct is a trap. The moment you make yourself the safety net for every single turnover, you've just handed yourself a second unpaid job, and you've capped the entire size of your business at the size of your own 2 hands and your own calendar. That is not how a CEO operates. A CEO doesn't ask, how do I do this myself? She asks, what system needs to exist so this happens perfectly, whether I'm standing there or not? And the system most hosts are missing is one specific role inside the turnover, a role that has nothing to do with scrubbing a single thing. It's the quality control inspector. And before you tell me there's no way you can afford to pay another person on every turn, I promise you, stay with me. Because before the end of this video, I'm gonna show you exactly how to fund this role so it doesn't cost you $1 out of your own pocket. But first, let's talk about why this role even needs to exist. Because once you see it, you genuinely cannot unsee it. Your guest decides how they feel about your property literally in the first few seconds when they walk in. Before they've set a single bag down, before they're even taking off their shoes, their brain is already quietly asking these 3 questions. Does it feel fresh? Does this property feel cared for? Am I comfortable staying here? And think about those, read them back to yourself, because not one of them was, is this clean? They're all about how a space feels. And here's the uncomfortable truth. A property can be technically genuinely clean and still fail all 3 of those questions. Picture it. The counters are wiped, the floors are mopped, the sheets are freshly washed, and yet there's a streak across a bathroom mirror catching the afternoon light. There's a faint, stale smell that whispers, someone was here before you. There's a throw pillow that's karate chopped at the wrong angle. There are crumbs on the table that you don't notice until you actually sit down to eat. None of that is a dirty home. All of it is a home that is not guest ready. And that gap, those little collection of almosts, is exactly what costs you the 5-star review. So what closes that gap? And I need you to really hear this, that this is not an insult to cleaners in any way. It's about the job itself. Your cleaner is executing under the clock. They're stripping beds, scrubbing toilets, hauling laundry, and flipping an entire home against a hard check-in deadline. Asking that same person inside that exact same window to also stop, step back, and grade their own work with completely fresh eyes, that's asking one human being to do the work and be the safety net at the very same moment. And here's the thing every single one of us knows but hates to admit. We're all blind to our own misses. You proofread your own email 5 times. You send it and the typo jumps off the screen the second it's gone. The person who did the work is the worst positioned person on the planet to catch what they missed. That is not a character flaw. That's just being human, which is precisely why the verification has to come from a different set of eyes. There are 2 roles and 2 jobs, the cleaner and the inspector. So in a business that actually runs like a business, your turnover has 2 distinct roles, and they are not the same person wearing 2 different hats. The cleaner executes your cleaning standards. The inspector verifies it. Let me make each one crystal clear for you. The cleaner follows your cleaning checklist, works the home room by room, delivers a fully clean space, and documents the thing with photos so that you have actual proof that the clean happened, not just a text message that says, all done. Their mindset lives in 3 sentences. I am responsible for the final product. If it's not clean, it's not done. And if it's not documented, it's not considered done. The inspector's job is something completely different. They are not there to re-clean anything. They walk the property the way your guests would walk it to confirm it's truly ready for your guests. They spot check the high-risk zones. They verify the staging matches your listing photos. They make sure everything works, and they document anything that's off. Their mindset is, I move efficiently, I focus on what matters most, and if there's an issue, I capture it and rectify what I can. If I can't rectify it, I send it over for maintenance. And this next part is what keeps the whole thing from quietly falling apart. An inspector is not a second cleaner. They are not there to redo the cleaning. They're not there to fix every microscopic thing and chase perfection until check-in time comes and goes. If they find something significant, they correct it if it's possible to be corrected in the moment, and they flag it for future if it's not. Your cleaner executes, your inspector verifies. 2 roles, 2 jobs, 2 completely different sets of eyes. The day you separate those 2 functions is the day your turnovers stop being a gamble. Here is where even the hosts who do inspect get it wrong. They treat the inspection like a one-time gotcha. You catch the miss, you fix it, you move on, and you forget about it. But the real power of the inspection role was never about catching one Band-Aid in a drawer on one random Tuesday. The power is in the loop it creates. I teach this all the time. It's called the Cleaning Excellence Loop, and it runs in 5 steps. Clean, inspect, learn, improve, repeat. Walk through it with me. Your cleaner cleans. Your inspector verifies and documents what was missed. And then comes the step almost everybody skips. You have your cleaners learn from it. Because if your inspector is catching hair behind the same toilet turn after turn after turn, that is not a fluke. That is a pattern. And a pattern is a gift because it tells you precisely where to coach your cleaners. So you improve, you update the standard, and you retrain that one spot. You also add a reference photo so there's no guessing by your cleaners. And then you repeat. You watch that exact miss slowly disappear because you fixed it at the source instead of patching the same hole every single turnover. That right there is data over drama in its purest form. You are not lying awake at midnight before a check-in, stomach in a knot, because you're hoping the next guest doesn't notice the thing you're afraid your cleaners missed. You've built a machine that gets quietly, measurably better with every single turnover. The drama hosts react to the bad reviews. The data hosts prevent them. And real quick, I know some of you watching have found things in your own turnovers that would make my Band-Aid story look downright adorable. So do me a favor, drop the strangest, grossest, or most unbelievable thing you've ever found in a turnover in the comments. I read them, and I want to make every host watching feel a whole lot less alone. And if this is already shifting how you think about your turnovers, go ahead and tap that like button. It genuinely helps me get this information in front of more hosts who need to hear it. All right, so what is your inspector actually looking for? I'm going to give you the lens first because the lens matters more than any single checklist item. 3 questions. What feels right? What feels off? And what would a guest notice immediately? Train someone to walk a property asking those 3 things, and you are already ahead of most other folks. From there, a strong inspection is validating a handful of very specific things. First and foremost, cleanliness. And I don't mean it looks clean from the doorway. I mean clean to the touch, including the spots people quietly skip. The toilet test, the touch test, the streak-free glass, no fingerprints on the stainless steel appliances. Validating also that linens are crisp and lint and stain-free. That's the line between clean and impressive. And impressive is what earns you 5 stars. Your inspector is also verifying functionality. They're making sure every light works, the TV and the remote work, and the TV is logged out of the last guest's Netflix account. They're also verifying that the thermostat is set and the locks lock the doors. Your guests should never have to troubleshoot a single thing. Every point of friction is a tiny withdrawal from your potential 5-star review. Your inspector is also validating the staging. The home has to look like the photos that convinced your guests to book in the first place. And your inspector is also validating inventory. Do you have enough of everything for the number of guests? Was nothing missing and nothing sitting empty? Your inspector is also validating damage and maintenance. They're catching any loose cabinet handle or the slow draining sink before the guest is the one who finds it. And then there are 2 categories that protect you more than all others combined: the hidden zones and safety. Under the beds, behind the toilet, inside every drawer, and behind the doors, inside closets. This is exactly where Band-Aids are hiding, my friends. It's where a previous guest left something behind the bathroom door. Trust me, no one, not even your cleaner, and certainly not your next guest, should ever have to discover. Yes, that's the condom I found behind the bathroom door. And it's where a firearm ends up getting forgotten in a nightstand. Sit with that for just a second. If the next family to check into your home had a curious 7-year-old who opens every drawer in a brand new place, and they do, that handgun is a 1-star review waiting to happen. And that is a tragedy, the kind of thing that can end a hosting business overnight, waiting to happen. So when I tell you the inspector checks the hidden zones, please understand I am not talking about being fussy or precious. I'm talking about safety. And safety is the one place where good enough simply does not exist. All right, I promised you I would solve the money problem, so let's do it, because this is the objection that stops most hosts cold. You might say, Stacy, this all sounds amazing, but I cannot afford to pay a whole separate person on every single turnover. And here is the reframe that changes everything. You are already charging a cleaning fee, and that cleaning fee was never meant to pay for just a clean. It is paying for a guest-ready home. So the cost of verifying that the home is actually guest-ready belongs right inside that cleaning fee, the exact same way that the cleaning does itself. So you build a modest inspection cost into your cleaning fee that your guest pays at the moment they book, and that role quietly funds itself. It's not coming out of your own pocket. It's coming out of the reservation, which is exactly where it always should have come from. Now, you might have a fear saying to yourself, well, won't a higher cleaning fee scare off my bookings? And this is where we lead with data, not drama. Go pull the cleaning fees of 3 to 5 comparable listings in your market. Same size, same vibe as your property. 9 times out of 10, folding the inspection in lands you within a few dollars of what everyone else around you is charging. You are not the outlier. You are just the one whose turnovers are actually getting verified. And if you are brand new and budget is genuinely tight right now, here's your bridge. You can have your cleaner physically step out of the property, take a breath, reset, and walk back in as the inspector with a completely different checklist and intentionally fresh eyes. It is not the long-term ideal, but the role and the checklist stay separate even when the person doesn't. Then as you grow, you separate the people too. And to run all of this without it living rent-free in my head, I use Breezeway. It lets me assign the inspection, timestamp exactly when my inspector arrives, attach reference photos of how every single room should look, and keep my cleaner and my inspector working off the very same system. So nothing slips through the cracks, and I am not the bottleneck holding it all together. So here is what I want you to take away. The host who's constantly putting out fires, apologizing to guests, refunding nights, or refreshing her reviews with her stomach in a knot, that was never a cleaning problem. It is a missing role. And the host who sleeps just fine the night before a check-in is not working harder than you. She built a system that protects itself, a cleaner who executes, an inspector who verifies, and a loop that gets a little better with every single turn. That's the entire difference between feeling buried by this short-term rental business and running it like the CEO you already are. Freedom, not overwhelm, my friends. Let's get you there. I made you a free download, the Fund Your Inspector worksheet that walks you through the exact numbers we just talked about earlier in this video, so you can plug in your own cleaning fee and watch this role pay for itself. The link is in the description below, so go grab it. And when you're ready to actually start running your business like a business, my 5-star turnover system is the full setup, the room by room inspection playbook, the standards, and the role clarity I hand to my own team, all done for you. So you're not building it from scratch at 11 o'clock at night. That's linked below too. And if this opened your eyes today, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming down next. And I'll see you in the next video.